if our panelists will stick around, we're going to go ahead and do another round of questions, and I know that maybe some of our senators will come back. So, Mr. Allen, you touched upon this already, but I want to dig into it a little bit more. The U.S. and a few key allies like the Netherlands and Japan together control the production of semiconductor manufacturing equipment, MEAs that we were talking about before. The Dutch company ASML is the sole producer of the extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines that are needed to make the most advanced chips. Currently, the U.S. and our allies apply some countrywide export controls on SMEs to communist China, but only on the most cutting-edge technologies like EUVs. This has succeeded in denying Beijing the capability of producing chips at the 5 nanometer level or below. However, ASML's less advanced but still highly capable deep ultraviolet DUV lithography machines are still being sold. Communist China is stockpiling these DUVs, which form the backbone of Beijing's efforts to produce cutting-edge as well as legacy chips. Mr. Chabra, what steps should the U.S. take in coordination with Japan and the Netherlands to prevent Communist China from continuing to acquire the equipment it needs to be fully independent, be a fully independent semiconductor manufacturer?
Yeah. Senator, I think we could take action to ensure that more tools are withheld countrywide from China.
Does that include the DUVs?
That does, Senator. We could take action to ensure that all advanced fabs are restricted in China. We could ensure that subsidiaries of various companies that have no constraints today are upheld. And then there's just simply the routine maintenance that's required for export controls. That means playing the cat and mouse game that's inevitable every year, and so you have to allow regular updates to happen as well. But I think more countrywide updates, also not being shy about using the foreign direct product rule as well is absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Dr. Miller, you talked about this as well. Data centers are the key strategic infrastructure underlying the AI revolution. Every AI model, algorithm, and national security application depends on compute running in the data centers. The expanded construction of data centers in the United States and globally is key to promoting diffusion of the full American tech stack. At the same time, Chinese entities have used AWS and Microsoft Azure to access the advanced computing power needed for training AI models. This makes sense compared to our extensive controls on advanced AI chips. We have so far taken much less focused approach to remote cloud access for AI via the U.S. data centers, so a way that they can do it. Instead, cloud companies have implemented some safeguards like know your customer standards on their own. Some experts have argued the remote cloud access is the preferable alternative to selling to Communist China. It would theoretically provide us leverage to turn off the valve, so to speak, if we ever needed to. However, this leverage becomes more complicated concerning remote access to data centers overseas, particularly in countries with friendly relationships with Communist China. Mr. Allen, what are the risks of allowing Chinese entities to have remote access to advanced computing power via American data centers? How can you control the risk of chip diversion and end up, with unauthorized users? And do you buy the argument that allowing Chinese entities remote access gives leverage to cut them off when we may need to cut them off or so desired?
I think giving remote access to Chinese companies is directly against America's interests of winning the AI diffusion race, which is to say, if we want the world to be running on American AI models, then why are we giving China the computing power they need to train models that are almost or as good or better? So if we are thinking about all the market that is going to exist and grow over the next 5 years and 10 years, this is a critical window of opportunity to leverage our compute advantage to build incredible businesses, to build customer relationships. And all that we are doing by renting this capacity to Chinese companies is building them a bridge to a future that they have stated absolutely will not include us.
Great. So, Mr. Chabra, your thoughts?
So I would just add to Mr. Allen's statement here, we believe the same thing about allowing Chinese companies to access the most advanced US models. And the reason is that we see companies headquartered in China or other adversary countries using the models to build their own platforms, then taking those platforms global to win market share against US companies. And in the end, as Greg said, they will drop American companies from that. And so we should not help them build that market share. And second, we don't want our AI to be supporting the development of AI applications that will end up supporting the PLA or the Chinese intelligence services.
Dr. Melvin, can you comment on that last part about if we allow Chinese companies access to remote data centers, will that get used in the Chinese military?
Well, the thing is that because we know that both Chinese models and U.S. models are currently being integrated into the Chinese military, and we know that those Chinese models have accessed U.S. cloud compute for remote, that means that by definition that remote access has in fact furthered the interest of Chinese military modernization. I would also point out that we have a significant problem on the cyber espionage side from about a decade ago when the Chinese intelligence services decided to move all the command and control infrastructure for their cyber espionage into U.S. cloud to further complicate our ability to do attribution at scale. And so again, that's another element of how that remote access, which frankly is very easy to find on the Chinese internet and on Chinese WeChat, offers to join Microsoft Azure and other things to be able to get that backdoor access. All of those are fundamentally deleterious to U.S. national interest.
Great. Thank you very much. Chair Coons.
Thank you, Mr.